Oli live kuva Strange. Olunaku olwaleero ekibiina kya National Unity Platform kikedde n'amawulire ag'essanyu oluvannyuma lwa Paalamenti ya Europe okutuula ne bateesa ku nsonga z'eggwanga Uganda. Na buli kati amawanga ag'amaanyi teganavaayo kukkiriza byava mu kulonda kwa Uganda. Akakiiko k'ebyokulonda akakulembera by'abakama mwe kaavaayo ne kalangirira Museveni awangudde ne 70%. Ba observers okuva mu mawanga ag'enjawulo bajja Uganda okuli ne ba observer abava mu Parliament ya Europe. Bano bona buli kati baagaana olunaku olwaleero batudde ne bateesa almost 1 hour nga boogera ku nsonga ze Uganda. Now omukulu Fred Lumbuye Kajubi ate ayina amapya gaakuleetedde ku nsonga eno. Njagala owulirize ate osharinge ne video katukomewo.
Baba beyunga ku bweyunzi dani okuba kubanga jjukira ebiseera ebimu bwe mugamba nti musirise nga muzungu temutegeezezza buli wa muntu oyo muga mugenda kukwata emmundu bokolonako mu ngeri yonna abazungu tebagenda kuba joininga naye ate dikiteta asobola okutta abantu bangi nnyo kati mu process abazungu bano bagamba nti wabaddewo war crimes mu scafe zabaddewo abalwanyisa gavumenti ne gavumenti wabaddewo war crimes. Era war crimes ezo batera nnyo ziteeka ku bantu abalwanyisa gavumenti ebeeri mu buyinza oba mukitegedde olw'ensonga nti bannansi bate bakikoze kimala kulabisa gavumenti eyo n'ensi yonna okugivaamu. Kati olwayo mulina chance mukikoze almost kiri mu 60%. Twetaaga kibeera 100% kitya. Kasita omu European ava mu Museveni, Omungereza n'ava mu Museveni, Omumerika n'ava mu Museveni, abasigadde kijja kuba kunaazaako bunaaza. Kati already process eri mu kutambula ya European Parliament. America already yategedde dda na buli kimu bakitegedde dda. Kati ngenda kusaba comrade nzize wano bategeeza nti ssaawa wano ziri ekingambisiza nti ziri ssaawa mukaaga 1 nga mu Europe bagenda kutandika okulonda ssaawa 8 eze Europe mu Europe bagenda kulonda ssaawa mukaaga n'ekitundu ze ssaawa 8 eze Uganda oba nfunye bulungi nnyo eri mu Parliament ya bagenda tandika okudiscussinga n'okulonda ku ssaawa 6 mu Uganda zigenda kubeera ssaawa 8 nze ensonga lwaki nabagambye nzije kusaameka ku ssaawa 6 era zinzize mbategeeze mugende ku mikutu gyonna oba oli mu Middle East oba oli mu Asia oba oli mu Africa oba oli mu Europe oba oli mu Bungereza oba oli Canada oba oli mu America nkusaba zuukuka teweebaka yessaawa zuukuka totta kibenga tonna kikenenya ndusu yessaawa yokenenya ekibe ogenda okugamba tugenda mu liberation struggle oba armed struggle ng'omuzungu takyasobola kuttira Museveni ku liiso kyekiriwo essaawa zino
bino byonna ebigenda mu maaso
kyekiriwo essaawa zino kyekiriwo essaawa zino mbagambye ku X kwebali mu storming X ku TikTok live kati kuweri eya European Parliament kuweri kitokota mugende ku Facebook ya European Parliament kitokota buli wamu obujulizi mbulira mu kirina mugende eyo mbeegayiride
directives
by kusooka kukuula Museveni ku bazungu tumba mujjeko tugende omwenganga mu buli kimu nga takyalina kyasobola gamba nsi nga ne buli muntu aga nti mugende bisigadde tujja kujja tubasapootinge eyo ngenda kuddayo oba kansooka engendereyo ddala mu tugende ku nsonga endala. Zinazo ku video ezibaddeyo olunaku lwa jjo.
What happened on January 15th in Uganda, the so-called elections were not an election.
Thank you.
They were a military operation, and the facts confirm it. Soldiers, acting on direct government orders, raided the home of opposition leader Bobby Wine, assaulted his family and forced the family into exile. Opposition supporters were arrested, disappeared or were killed, including Mesa Kokelo, who was fatally shot while attending a peaceful rally. We are deeply alarmed by reports that the regime has publicly threatened to kill opposition leader Bobby Wine. All these are not isolated incidents. They are acts of terror which are meant to silence an entire opposition. We call for the immediate and unconditional release of all political prisoners and end to military trial of civilians, full accountability for the crimes committed and a real electoral reform. Today we as European Parliament say clearly, we stand with Bobi Wine, Uganda's opposition and civil society and all those who risk everything to demand freedom. Thank you.
Ezo zimu ku video ezabaddeyo ngenda sooka zibadde ntugende ku kintu ekirala kyenjagala musooke mutegeere omulimu gwe tubagamba okugenda okukola.
Uganda's president, who has been in power for more than 40 years, has placed the only credible opposition candidate under house arrest. 40 years in power, and challengers are put under house arrest. This is not democracy, it is criminal. Now listen to what the EU's official policy is at the same time regarding its support for Uganda. The EU cooperates with Uganda to promote the country's green transition, support sustainable and inclusive job creation and investment growth, and strengthen democratic governance that advances social inclusion and human rights. It seems the support policy has not been very successful. The EU must now decide whether we want to continue financing these regimes that laugh at our declarations with gold teeth flashing, or is it time to adopt a new mantra for development aid as well? Here we draw the line. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear colleague.
Jana soka bawano tugende ku phase endala ey'okubiri. Tugende ku phase endala ey'okubiri. Kano kawanvu mukko nenjagala mukawo obudde. Kawanvu mukko. Njala mukawo obudde olw'ensonga twagala tugguse ekintu kino olwaleero.
Commissioner, I have received 2 motions for resolution to wind up this joint debate. The debate is closed and the vote will be held tomorrow. The next item on the agenda is debates on cases of breaches of human rights, democracy and the rule of law. Next debate on the agenda is post-election situation in Uganda and threats against opposition leader Bobi Wine. My first speaker is uno de los autores, el señor...
Muchas gracias, President.
Thank you very much, President.
In Uganda, the full subversion of democratic standards, abuse, severe restrictions on civic space, widespread intimidation of opposition figures, fraud, violence, and a nationwide internet blackout. How is it possible that the main opposition candidate, Mr. Bobi Wine, could have been sieged by the military in his house and his family and his wife assaulted by government forces? All of this to guarantee a seventh term in office of Yoweri Museveni. It is just unacceptable, and Europe cannot accept this. I must thank all the political groups that we have convened and made a consensus about this. This is, of course, not just about Uganda. It's about supporting the hundreds of millions of Africans who seek freedom, who seek the right for their voices to be heard, who seek their fight for progress and dignity, but are not allowed to do so through violence and oppression. For decades, this European Union has been engaging with our African partners to try to support free and fair elections. I have myself participated in electoral observations on the continent, and I'm very much aware of the challenges. But we need to do more. We have the means to do more, because today it is Bobi Wine in Uganda. Last year it was Tundu Lissu in Tanzania. And next year it might be Alberto Costa Jr. in Angola. Opposition leaders are being persecuted, elections are being stolen, and we cannot allow, as Europeans, continually to close our eyes, and especially our governments who are making economical dealings with the government of Uganda. And Commissioner, the Council has to hear high voice and the opinion of this Parliament about these very tragic circumstances that are happening in Uganda. Thank you very much.
Señor López Isturiz, my second speaker is another author, Mr. Haidt.
Thank you, Chair. Dear Commissioner, ahead of the elections, Bobi Wine was cheered by tens of thousands of Ugandan voters wherever he appeared in the country. Now, after the elections, he is under siege, and tens of thousands of citizens took the streets, this time in protest. The post-election situation in Uganda shows a systematic assault on fundamental rights. President Museveni's seventh term followed elections that failed to meet democratic standards, preceded and followed by mass arrests, violence, attacks on journalists, the shutdown of civil society, an internet blackout, and killings of unarmed civilians. The harassment of Bobi Wine, his family and members of the National Unity Platform is unacceptable. The European Union must act consistently to end immediately all violence, threats and the arbitrary detention of opposition politicians and their supporters. We must review our cooperation with Uganda and firmly support civil society, journalists, human rights and LGBTIQ plus defenders as well as the democratic opposition.
Mr. Haidt, Mr. Ockman is as well an author.
Thank you, President, Commissioner, colleagues. What happened on January 15th in Uganda, the so-called elections, were not an election.
Yes.
They were a military operation. And the facts confirm it. Soldiers, acting on direct government orders, raided the home of opposition leader Bobi Wine, assaulted his family and forced the family into exile. Opposition supporters were arrested, disappeared or were killed, including Mesa Kokelo, who was fatally shot while attending a peaceful rally. We are deeply alarmed by reports that the regime has publicly threatened to kill opposition leader Bobi Wine. All these are not isolated incidents. They are acts of terror which are meant to silence an entire opposition. We call for the immediate and unconditional release of all political prisoners, and end to military trial of civilians, full accountability for the crimes committed and a real electoral reform. Today, we as European Parliament say clearly, we stand with Bobi Wine, Uganda's opposition and civil society, and all those who risk everything to demand freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear colleague. Mr. Froelich is an author as well.
Thank you, President. Idi Amin, former dictator of Uganda, said that he can't guarantee free speech. Critics of the of what's been happening in Uganda really can show that Uganda is an example of post-colonial area. The opposition is suppressed, and between 2020 and 2024, millions of euros were spent to ensure governance in Uganda. This has led to reactions, and in the end, this is just wasted money. We should focus development policy on economic growth and infrastructure, not just on exports. That will give us access to resources. It's a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation. That's the best way of dealing with it. Thank you.
We jump into the second part on behalf of the EPP group, Mr. Schenk.
President, colleagues, well, to talk about Uganda is uncomfortable, but to turn a blind eye is irresponsible. What we say, or what we don't say, is important. Uganda is in a situation which we cannot possibly ignore. We're talking about citizens who suffer from violence, media that are not allowed to do their work, opposition with a very narrow and ever narrowing political area. So the elections that have been characterized by imprisonment.
All right. Kati akatambyako tukatadde ku mutimbagano gwa National Platform jekali ka full version ka video kana ka parliament ya Europe badde tudinge discussinga ne specifically nze kindese kubategeeza nti bagenda kulonda ebigendo okukolebwa ku Museveni ne government ye ku saa 8 eze Uganda bamaze okudiscussinga kati bagenda funa resolution ku saa 8 eze Uganda ne kutegeeza genda ku kutugwa European Parliament gwa Twitter otulaawo genda ku TikTok saa zino European Parliament live otulaawo genda ku Facebook wa live otu ne ku YouTube ko bali oli live muteke ngache mwakola ku International Criminal Court nga bawozesa koni ne muleeta obujulizo olumma Museveni nti ye mutemu mwawulira musango na mukutambula bakimanya nti bannayuganda bamanyi twalonda president milioni 7 n'ekitundu plus milioni 7 kuliko milioni 5 ezine nobo oli mu office typing a message ngogenze ku live ku parliament ya Europe bannanga akasajja kayidde so kirije muri mwokwetulako naye nga babazungu tumazo bateeka balina okubeera kati European Parliament kivuddeko kati njera tegeeza bannayuganda mwenna bali Bungereza bakulembeze ba National Platform n'aba People Power please bakomrede mu Europe bakikoze abo Bungereza mu musigadde naye nga nabo muli mbadde mu kutambuza naye ebungereza wali ekizibu kya Mando Bay monje Bungereza ate Museveni akola ne ba Mando Bay yabawe ettaka lya bwerere ambali mu Uganda bakola business kati ba Mando Bay abo babloka mu Bungereza ile bakolagane Museveni kati ngenda basaba mu itumbi parliament ya Bungereza muwandikire buli MP w'ekitundu kyoli twetaaga okubanga ne parliament ya Bungereza etegedde bikolobero bya Museveni tibiyitiridde dentro yoke tugende mu maaso kasi tatumujjako mu European netumujjako mu Bungereza netumujjako mu America netumujjako mu Canada kiba kitegeeza enne action against Museveni oba ene armed struggle ya Museveni tesobola mubeeza wadde okumalinda ku bbiri abavuddewo lwaki tukendeeza obstacles oba ebizibu byetwandisanze nga tulwanyisa Museveni nga bazungu tebategedde lwaki tulwana nkiddamu Museveni yagenda okulwanyisa Obote n'Amini nga Amini n'Obote bamaze obbajjako amaanyi g'omuzungu era kyovula Museveni tebamuvuna na misango gyawo prime nga alwanyisa Obote n'Amini ate bagivuna n'Obote kubanga Museveni yali amaze okuddugaza erinnya lya Amini yamaze okuddugaza erinnya ly'Obote agenda mu nsiko twali musango bamuvunaana naffe kyekintu kyekimu kyeyakola kyetugenda okukola essaawa zo tusooke tumuggyeko omuzungu tumutere ebbali kyonna kyetugenda okukola ekigenda okuddako kitegeeza ti omuzungu agenda natusapootinga n'okusingawo nabaga nti omuzungu yabeera wali kiwunya tabeera wantu kiwaki watawunya munnayuganda ali Uganda babatega ebivulu n'abatega ababbi abafere ne diversion naye nga mukimanyi bulungi nnyo nti Museveni byaliko asiba bikutuka awo tuvuddewo saagala